Welcome to the Life Success and Legacy Podcast. We're glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody. Want to welcome you back to the Life Success Legacy Podcast. I'm Chris Bay, joined by two of the Mikes. I've got Mike Crawford. Hey, Mike.
Hello.
Hello. And Mike Everett. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Back in the saddle.
Back in the saddle. You spent a little time away. Did you have a good time away?
We did. It was very relaxing. If we would have had to do one thing different, one thing only, we bounced around to all these different cities and changed hotels each time. We would have found one hub and gone out from there. I'm not very good at disorganization in travel.
My experience with you is, just from observations, is you like to move into a place, put all your clothes in the dressers, have them set up like it's at home, and then just be settled there for a while. So you had to redo that over.
I was living out of my bag. I'll stop there because I could go 18 different directions on that, but I'm going to stop because I could get frustrated.
I believe you. Hey, for the listeners, enough about us. What do you think of me? We are going to talk today, kind of go down memory lane a little bit on our own IBC systems and peel back the curtain as we have learned more, as we have experienced IBC personally as clients, all those things that we've kind of the hard knocks we've done ourselves early on so that our clients can learn from that and they don't have to experience those things. We actually want to share what are things that we would have done differently with our own IBC systems. So as we kind of popcorn around, we'll share different ideas and all, but also just to give some context, like where are we with our own personal IBC systems with that? Mike Crawford, I think you actually are starting a brand new policy, right?
Recently we did. We started, I guess it was, well, ironically, almost a year ago now.
No.
On Milo?
Wow.
Well, we started new policies on Mary and myself about a year ago. We just paid our second premium pretty recently. And then during the same calendar year, sometime mid-2022, we started a new policy on Milo. And some of that stemmed from conversations that we had as a team associated with guaranteed insurability for children. And, starting there for me would be looking back, that would definitely on Milo's first policy would have been something I added on the front end for that policy. I think it's such an affordable option that heaven forbid he become uninsurable, we at least have that, Mike Everett pillow blankie.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, because with kids, you can't do the terms, you can't do the convertible terms. And so you're either doing whole life IBC style, hopefully, right? Or you have the option of the guaranteed insurability rider on kids. And I would say the same thing, Crawford. We didn't put guaranteed insurability riders on our first little bitty $1,000 a year premiums on the kids. And so we should have. I wish I would have known to do that, and I would have. And we've talked about that a lot with our newest clients of probably a good idea to do this.
Yeah, we just had a team meeting about it. I mean, on Monday, I know, Everett, you weren't there, but we talked at length about the guaranteed insurability and the conversation we would like to have with clients moving forward.
And it's cheap, right?
Now, I'm going to throw this in. Since the GIO, the guaranteed insurability option, has been a topic of conversation, I've actually added it to a couple of clients' policies. It's been an add-on. So even though they were a year into it or two, we've been able to add it in there. I mean, it's still an option. And for like $35 a year, holy cow, it is so cheap.
Yeah, cheap. And I think we did a podcast not too long ago about different riders. And so people, and we talk in depth about some of those different things. So people can go back and take a look at that as well. So yeah, agreed. I would have put guaranteed insurability rider on the kiddo policies when we started out. Crawford, can you just give the listeners a little context of what your IBC system looks like?
Yeah, so in 2015, we started 2 policies immediately, one on me and one on Mary, for $5,000, and traditional build, 2K base, 3K PUA, and we chugged through. I went from a career, i.e., quotations, I should say, that was pretty stressful, but I did make a salary, to full commission, and that was, a little bit of a shell shock in a lot of ways. And what we learned was we had to kind of take baby steps and learn how to make our system function within the parameters of the money that we had available. And so, it was a little bit of a slow uptake. And also, I think for me, one of the biggest things I wish I could have done better or helped better with is helping Mary understand the concept a little bit more in depth. And some of that's just my personality. I'm a little bit more like Mike Everett, where it's just, go, go, go. And Mary's personality is a little less like that. And so I think I was in 3rd gear before she even got out of reverse. She was backing out of the parking stall, and I'm already down the street in 3rd gear, And so I think that would be something I would have really appreciated thinking through a little bit better from that perspective. I think our plan's fine and we're doing well, but obviously, it could have been early on, we could have taken more advantage of the policies.
So you started with the 2 5s.
Yep.
And then eventually you rolled in a policy on Milo. I remember doing that podcast in Mike Everett's office.
Yeah.
And then you've added another policy on Milo with the
we've added another policy
rider
on Milo, and we've added another policy on each of us as well. Just another 5K. And again, her education level and where we were, she just felt that was the right number. I tried to push for 10 apiece, and she kind of pushed the pause button. But they'll still work the same way. We just may have to add a few more to continue staggering and franchising our policies. So,
which isn't a bad deal. I mean,
sure.
No.
When I think back on how we started, we did the opposite. We started pretty darn big and had all of it. We did 4 policies, and Mike Everett was not recommending these size policies. But once I finally, after 9 months, drank the Kool-Aid, I was all in. And I was like, okay, in the financial world, the sooner you start and the bigger you start, the better that will be long term. Well, we bit off more than probably we should have, but we've made all that work. There were a few hiccups along the way, which we can talk about. But I wish we would have, rather than starting so big all at once, still have the same amount of premium, but I wish we would have staggered those throughout the year, not start them all at the same time. For us, now keep in mind, we were single income education family, and so we were pretty tight financially. So that's one of the things I would have changed. And our system, we're starting, I believe it's our 11th policy. And our system is a combination of IBC policies. The majority of them are IBC policies on our family members. And I have one on Mike Everett personally, and that was before we were business partners. And then we also did 3 convertible terms, one on each of the kids, and then one on Sean. We actually had to do hers at the time. We had to increase her death benefit in order to increase the kids' death benefit. So we did convertible terms on all of them. And I would reflect back, I personally would have maxed out as much death benefit in any combination of IBC whole life and convertible terms. Garrett Gunderson, who's an IBC guy, if you read What Would the Rockefellers Do, and several others, if you're thinking legacy and long-term and flexibility and safety nets and all those things, I would have maxed out. And convertible terms so cheap. And at the time we started, I wish I would have just gotten as much convertible term on all of our family members as I could have. So, yeah, we're actually starting a new policy. We just are doing the app right now on Sean. She turns 59 in December. And so we're getting another policy on Sean, and I'm actually wondering, originally I thought, oh, we can replace that convertible term with this new policy. But I'm actually thinking we might hang on to it.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I think it's a conversation point, because like that was actually what stemmed, when my dad passed away, he had just paid his second premium on his whole life policy, but we didn't start any other policies on him. And the death benefit wasn't large, because it was only a 2-year-old policy, and it's been fine. Mom is fine. Everything's fine. But that got my brain really churning. And that's why in 2022, we started those additional whole life policies, but we did also start some relatively decent sized convertible term policies on both Mary and I, just to continue building up that, goal of like human life value, which we've talked about in previous podcasts as well. And we're nowhere near it, but it's just a constant like franchising and adding, whether it is the whole life for using it in infinite banking, or if it's the term to help buffer those what ifs of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny that we're talking about these terms, because I have had multiple conversations over the last month or two with people that have term policies in place. And as I am pondering this, I'm going to go back real quick. When I first started, we just said, cancel them. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what I do now is I tell almost without fail, keep these policies in place. Because number one, just like you said, Chris, they're dirt cheap. And number two, you can't replace the death benefit and the cost of that policy today.
Yeah.
Because everybody's gotten 5 or 10 or 15 years older, and their health is different. I mean, there's just a number of different factors there. So I've completely switched. I mean, like it's a 180 where I go, keep these things in place. In fact, I have a conversation yesterday on a long Zoom. I said, no, you need to keep these policies in place. They are a good thing, because if you jump off the earth too early, everybody wins.
Yeah.
I think it historically takes us back that, Mike Everett, when you started into IBC, it wasn't out there, right? It was hard to find information about IBC. And we weren't even bringing up convertible terms to people. I remember being down at a think tank talking to Russ, and Russ said, now you guys, are you doing convertible terms for people? I was like a deer in the headlights. I was like, no, tell me about that.
What is convertible term?
Exactly. And so that really shifted. So to our listeners, it has been an evolution of us learning more and more about design of policies, about writers, about companies, all about how we can creatively utilize our policies and systems. So Mike, you've had the most seniority with your policies and your system. When you think back how you started and over the years, are there things that you would maybe have considered doing differently?
Yeah, for anybody who's listened to some of the old podcasts, they know that when I got started, I borrowed money from the bank to get my policy started. I would not have done that. What I would have done was I would have gone to a monthly plan. And this way I would have utilized my income to actually fund the policies. All that does is it pushed things out 1 year.
Yeah.
And how fast is a year?
You didn't have a bucket of money at that time.
I had no bucket.
Yeah.
I had no bucket because, when I was switching careers, I went from the PNC business to IBC, and literally I had to start all over. I had a non-compete with my old agency, which, that's pretty much stuff that they write into, resignations and stuff like that. But I would have gone to a monthly plan. It would have simplified the way I would have done IBC. Number two, since I borrowed the money from a bank and I needed the policy loan for income, one of the things that I would have changed completely was learning about policy loan repayments, which you said this when you first started talking on this podcast, was we're taking a lot of our bumps in the road, our failures, and sharing them with our clients so they don't experience some of the things that we've experienced. So these experiences that we've had, good or bad, are a super positive thing for our clients to be able to not get them in the kind of sticky messes that some of us have been in.
Sure.
But yet, in the midst of all of that, when I first started doing this in 05, early 06, we were trying to search out life insurance companies that had a clue about IBC. And I know this is going to sound terrible, and if there's any company people listening to this now, I apologize, sort of. We are still struggling with educating the home offices about what we do. And we're experiencing this right now by helping our companies understand that our clients are taking policy loans. And after they take policy loans, they're making policy loan repayments. How do they do that? All the different features that go along with that. So I would have capitalized my system differently, and I would have learned how to make policy loan repayments and not been so, gosh, I hate to say this out loud, selfish with the policy loans that I got, because I thought, wow, look at all this money. And not go on vacation when I really needed to actually reduce some debt. So those kind of goof ups really, they complicate things in people's plans, but yet in the midst of all of that, we build in flexibility, we build in freedom for people to make these kinds of errors or goof ups, so we don't get them down the road 2 and 3 and 4 years where they're going, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Chris, you used to say something. Well, Mike Everett used to say something, and then you would reply to it. He used to say, "You're gonna screw this up. It's not gonna be perfect. You're gonna mess this up." And it used to, I think, make you a little uncomfortable.
Well, you do it in the middle of boot camps to all of our, potential clients. And I'm like, he'd share his story of how much he messed it up, didn't, borrowed money for premiums, didn't do loan repayments, and did it year after year. I'm like, golly, they're going to think we're just flat out idiots. And Sean, my wife, she's the one who said, no, it's actually magic, because then they know it doesn't have to be perfect and it still can work.
That's right.
That's one of the things that, our team does really well, is that we are, I don't know if the right word is vulnerable, but we're open to
transparent
to giving this information to anybody, listeners, clients, potential clients, other agents, whatever it is. And I think, in a world of finance where everything seems very mysterious, we are trying to demystify a lot of those things, right? And give that context from Nelson's perspective, our own experiences, the experiences of our clients, obviously without naming names, but just like things that we can completely be transparent to those who we speak with. Because I think, just like Sean was saying, it is very comforting whenever you are working with people that are that open.
Transparent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mike and I did a coaching session with a client recently, and I've done several others, and I will pull up my Google sheet of our policies.
Yep.
It shows our loan balances, it shows our interest that we pay, it shows everything. And you can tell people are like, I can't believe you're showing me this. It's like, look, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were clients as well. We are clients as well. And that takes me back, actually. So Mike Everett was our coach, and it was early on in his career, and IBC was just new. And Mike, you were just looking for companies that, as you said, had a clue about IBC. And I'm trying to think, the company that we started our policies with,
Yeah.
how long had you been licensed or contracted with them when you did our policies, would you say?
What year was that? Was that
2011, 10, 11?
10, 11? Okay, so that probably would have been maybe 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 3 years. And then at the time that you became an IBC client, I had been on my own for 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were new and learning and doing all those kinds of things.
Well, you know how I
the
am.
company,
It's fast forward. It's fast forward everywhere I go.
yeah. Let's get this deal done. We'll worry about the details later.
Yeah, that
well,
9
those
months
details,
was laborious.
those details actually came back to bite both of us.
It did.
Because we have policies with a company that will go unnamed.
Yep.
We have policies with a company that, because the way that was structured, I was able to put in my premium and pull out the full cash value the first year.
Yep.
But the second year, I put in the full premium, and you only would get access to 1 month's cash value at a time. Well, in our situation where we were with cash flow and everything else, that was not going to work, and we freaked out. And Everett and I, we met with company representatives. We were doing all this work, and that's just the way it was.
So just an FYI, because infinite banking was so new, even in 2010, 2011, that company actually made a change midstream.
Mm-hmm.
It was disheartening for me, but I had actually met with that company, and not in so many words, I was getting ready to give away their home office location, but not in so many words. They basically told us that they were not interested in this kind of business.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, I remember Linda and I had lunch with a couple of the marketing executives and the executive vice presidents, and it was like, I'm not sure what they just said. And it caught us completely off guard. But yet I thought, you know what? I changed gears pretty quickly, and I re-upped a relationship that had gone by the wayside from my previous situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up being one of the very best decisions that we ever made. And we are all experiencing that now.
Yeah.
Because they really kind of invested time and energy. They would come to the think tank every year.
Mm-hmm.
They would have somebody speak on a panel. They would have a booth available. And so this ended up being a really great relationship for us and the IBC clients that we were teaching and bringing on board for IBC.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we could have gone back and have prevented that. That was just kind of the price of tuition, right? Of learning.
Right.
We still both own those policies with that company. But because of the structure of when you get the cash value, all I did is I switched my premiums to monthly, and I rarely use those policies for any of my banking just because logistically it's a hassle.
Yeah, it is.
So I pay my monthly premiums. That's like my emergency fund. There's cash sitting in there, those kinds of things.
That's what I do too.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other thoughts or reflections on things you would have done differently looking at your system over the years?
Oh boy. One of the things I'm fortunate because we learned once again through the School of Hard Knocks. I literally have policies scattered throughout the entire year, and I sat down and figured out I have 21 policies now, and I think I have 1 month that I don't have a premium due.
I'm surprised you even have that month.
Well, it's actually July, if you can believe that. But
That's your travel
so
month. You see, you don't have time for applications.
well, it's so funny because I was talking to one of our RVPs yesterday, and he said July is the worst month of the year in the life insurance industry. And people are on vacation,
We've
things are
experienced
happening.
that. I mean, Chris keeps a tally. I mean, he's like, he's got his little abacus over there, and he has all of his stuff written down.
So true.
Yeah. Yeah, we've looked at that before. June and July have sometimes been very sluggish for us.
Sluggish months, yeah.
Sluggish.
I know this podcast is about maybe things we would do different. And I think for me, one thing that I might continue to do different is what Mike just said, is I want to continue stacking policies by month and try to do that. Because again, the beauty of infinite banking is its flexibility, is its continued growth. And if you have these premium deposits every month, we get paid pretty much monthly, right? What if we just move that money into a new premium every month, right? I mean, it takes time. I'm 8 years in and I won't be there, but like it'll take time. But I think that there's an aspect of that I think is a really it's on my brain a lot in terms of things I want to continue to do to expand my system and work with clients to help them understand that as well.
Yeah, for our listeners, page 48, as Mike was just saying, is expanding the system to accommodate all income. Literally yesterday, I had somebody asking me that, and I said, it's not time yet, but let me explain. Expanding the system to accommodate all income. Mike Everett is probably, of the people I know, in a position where he could do that. And the reason for that is not because of his income or anything else. It is because he has mature policies spread throughout the year. Because you need that in order to put $1 in premium in, you need to get access to at least that dollar to live on. That's one thing. So he could run his income through a premium every single month and then pull it out and live on it. But I also believe you have to tie in the Nelson's third principle of don't steal the peas. You have to have a system of loan repayments in place also, because if you're putting money through premium and then pulling it out to live on, your loan balances are just going to continue to grow.
They are.
So expanding the system to accommodate all income is totally doable. But Mike, when did you start your first policies?
06, early 06.
Okay, and we're in 23, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
So it takes a while to build a system of policies, and they need to all be mature, and you have to have the cash flow to be able to do loan repayments.
Okay? Yeah, those premiums, that dollar is creating like $1.17. That's a good, by the way, that's a good, for people who are all hung up on rates of return, that's a really good rate of return.
That's good. Okay, so the bullet points, I'm kind of thinking back, you guys help me here. The things that we might do differently. One, put guaranteed insurability riders on kid policies, grandkid policies. As soon as kids are no longer minors, as soon as they're basically 17 and a half years old, I would max some convertible terms on them. We would probably, rather than doing big, massive policies all at once, we would probably stagger and do smaller ones throughout the calendar, right?
Yeah.
We've done the research on the companies. We know which companies work for IBC now. We've done that with School of Hard Knocks. We know that. What am I missing? Did we get all the bullet points?
Policy loan repayments.
Policy loan repayments.
Education, just general education as well.
That's principle number 3.
Yeah.
Principle number 3.
Yeah. Making sure that in a marriage, in a relationship, both partners are at least to some degree understanding, and you have mutual purpose.
That's right. That's right.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, thanks for joining. To our listeners, check us out at lifesuccesslegacy.com. We have, as you know, tons of books. If you haven't read Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker, If you're not a numbers person or you prefer to learn through stories, my book, Family Banking with Purpose, is a good learning tool for you. You can read it in less than an hour and a half. There it is. If you're a listener, obviously our podcasts are a good tool for you. And if you prefer to just talk to somebody, call Mike Everett.
His number will be flashing on the screen. No, I'm joking.
Oh my gosh.
We can get you a phone call with Mike Everett for $9.99.
No. I'll talk to him for $0.
There you go.
Good stuff, guys. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one.